Right now, traditional customer service chatbots are failing something like 85% of the time.
Yeah, it's a massive bottleneck.
Exactly. They just hit a wall, they frustrate the user, and then they immediately dump the ticket onto a human agent anyway. But the crazy part is 65% of European enterprise executives are currently shifting massive investments away from those basic bots towards something completely different.
Right, they're moving to agentic AI.
Yes, agentic AI.
Yeah.
So today we've got a really fascinating stack of source material for this deep dive. We're looking at impact reports from Gartner, some technical teardowns from AetherLink, which is a Dutch AI consulting firm, and the finalized framework of the EU AI Act.
It's a lot of ground to cover.
It is. But our mission today is to cut through all that generative AI hype. We want to answer one specific question for you. What actually happens when your company's AI stops just answering questions and starts, actually executing your workflows?
And for the business leaders, the CTOs, the developers listening, I mean, the urgency here is palpable. This isn't just about cool new tech.
No, not at all.
It's driven by a literal ticking clock. The EU AI Act enforcement deadline is hitting in 2026.
Which is coming up fast.
Very fast. Enterprises, especially in major tech hubs like Helsinki, they realize they have this brutally short 18-month window.
Just 18 months. Wow.
Yeah. They either adopt autonomous systems that are natively compliant, or they're going to face severe competitive and, honestly, legal disadvantages.
Okay, so let's unpack this. To really understand why that 2026 deadline is such a big deal, we need to separate the hype of traditional AI from the reality of these agentic systems, right?
Absolutely. We are moving from a reactive posture to a proactive one.
Right, because the traditional chatbot, it's reactive. It relies on predefined scripts and pattern matching.
Exactly. You feed it a prompt, it queries a database, and it gives you an answer. But agentic AI is totally different. Autonomous agents actually have reasoning, they have memory, and they have the ability to access external tools and APIs.
So they can actually do things.
Yes. The A-Filink white papers outline this really well with their AI-led architecture.
All right, let's break that down.
So first you have the LLM, the large language model. That's the brain, the reasoning engine. But a brain needs context, or it just hallucinates.
Right, which brings us to retrieval augmented generation.
Precisely. RAG is like giving the AI a dynamic filing cabinet.
Yeah.
It pulls your specific real-time enterprise data into the AI's memory.
Okay, brain and filing cabinet.
But the real magic is the third part, which is tool use. This is what lets the AI actually click buttons in your software, update your CRM, or, send an email.
I love the analogy for this. It's like a traditional chatbot is basically a receptionist who can only hand you a pre-printed map when you say you're lost.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
But an agentic AI, it's like an executive assistant. It sees you're lost, it books you a cab, it updates your calendar, and it pays the fare.
Exactly. It doesn't just give you info, it executes the multi-step workflow. And that's exactly what platforms like AetherLink's AetherBot are built to do.
But wait, if these agents are so autonomous and they have access to company credit cards and databases, how do you prevent them from going completely rogue?
Well, that leads us directly to the EU AI Act.
Right, the regulations.
Yeah. The Act uses a risk-based classification system. It categorizes AI into prohibited, high risk, limited risk, and minimal risk.
And I'm guessing agentic AI isn't minimal risk.
Definitely not, because systems in, say, customer service or finance are making autonomous decisions, they usually fall right into that high-risk bucket.
So what does that actually mean for the developers?
It means you need comprehensive impact assessments, rigorous bias testing, and strict human oversight mechanisms.
But, I have to ask, doesn't all this heavy regulation just totally stifle innovation? Like, aren't European developers at a massive disadvantage compared to developers in the US who can just move fast and break things?
Well, what's fascinating here is that it's actually creating the exact opposite effect. Institutional analysts are calling it a regulatory moat.
A regulatory moat. Okay, how does that work?
It's the intersection of GDPR data sovereignty and the EU AI Act. European enterprises actually have a massive advantage if they use localized, compliant AI infrastructure.
Because they can't just send all their customer data to some random server in California, right?
Exactly. It forces a massive demand for EU-hosted solutions. That's why investment in EU-focused AI vendors is up 58% since 2023.
Wow, 58%.
Yeah. It's highly lucrative for companies building native, compliant solutions.
Okay, so knowing the regulations is one thing, but if you're a business leader listening right now, you need to know if the cost of all this compliance actually pays off.
You need to see the ROI.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's look at the hard numbers. There's this great case study in the source material about a Helsinki-based SaaS company.
Oh, yeah, the one with over 500 enterprise clients.
Right. They were totally drowning in support costs. Human agents were handling 85% of all their tickets.
Which is brutal for highly technical queries.
Yeah. They were chronically breaching their SLAs, their service level agreements, which means they weren't hitting their promised response times. So they deployed an agentic AI system integrated directly into their Salesforce CRM.
And the results were pretty staggering.
Unbelievable, really. Over just 6 months, their autonomous resolution rate skyrocketed from 15% to 68%.
That's a massive jump.
And customer satisfaction, their CSAT, went from 72% to 84%. Plus, support costs dropped by 32%.
Which allowed them to reallocate 8 full-time employees to much better, higher-level tasks.
Right, they weren't just firing people, they were optimizing.
Yeah.
But why did this work so well?
Well, the key was that they didn't just let the AI run wild. They mandated a human in the loop for high-risk actions.
Like what?
Like billing disputes or contract cancellations. The AI would do all the prep work, draft the response, but a human had to click approve. They didn't just buy software, they used a governance-first architecture.
Which ties right into the strategy provided by AetherLink's Ethermean consultancy division, right?
Exactly. It proves that compliance isn't just a legal checkbox. In fact, because they were transparent about how the AI made decisions, customer perception of the AI's fairness actually improved by 41%.
Wait, 41%? Just from explaining its reasoning.
Yeah. When the AI tells you exactly why a refund was denied based on specific contract clauses, instead of just a generic no, people respect the system more.
That makes total sense. So we've seen how powerful these text-based agents can be. But, human communication isn't just typing into a chat box. Where is this technology evolving next?
It's moving toward multimodal agentic systems.
Right, multimodal. Here's where it gets really interesting. We're talking about agents that can process voice, video, and even analyze a customer's tone and emotional state in real time.
Exactly. They don't just transcribe audio, they listen to the pitch, the micro-hesitations, the stress in the voice.
Which is incredibly ironic if you think about it. Chatbots used to be the most robotic, frustrating part of customer service.
Oh, absolutely. The automated phone tree is universally hated.
Right. But by analyzing tone and adapting dynamically, these new agents might actually feel more human and empathetic than, say, a rushed, stressed-out call center worker on their 100th call of the day.
It's a wild thought, but it's true. The machine might become the stabilizing emotional presence, but I will say the hurdles to get there are immense.
Like the latency issues.
Latency, yes, but also hallucinations. If an AI makes things up confidently in text, it's bad. If it misreads a visual cue on a video feed or misinterprets a regional dialect as anger, it's disastrous.
So the bias testing has to be off the charts.
Orders of magnitude more complex. And integrating all this streaming data into legacy enterprise systems, you can't just buy that off the shelf.
Which is why you need custom development, like what AetherLink's AetherDev division does.
Exactly. It requires deep, bespoke engineering.
And this brings up a really interesting point from the research. Why is Helsinki continually highlighted as the epicenter for solving all this?
It's a really unique mix of culture and history. Helsinki has that massive Nokia tech legacy. They know how to build highly reliable, scalable telecom infrastructure.
Right. They're systems engineers at heart.
Plus, they have world-class AI talent. I mean, 12% of total EU AI startup funding goes to the Nordics. And culturally, they have a very high societal trust in data protection.
So they view privacy as a feature, not a bug.
Exactly. It's the perfect incubator for agents that need to be both ruthlessly efficient and natively compliant.
Well, looking at everything we've covered today, I think my number one takeaway is just this realization that the 2026 deadline, it isn't a punishment.
No, not at all.
It's a starting gun. The early movers who actually embrace this governance-first model, they're going to completely lap their competitors who are just going to wait until 2025 and then start panicking.
I couldn't agree more. My top takeaway really centers on how the definition of AI is fundamentally changing.
How so?
It's shifting from a tool you use to an executor that works alongside you. Gartner reported that organizations are seeing massive 40% faster workflow completion times.
40%, that's game-changing.
It is. It proves that agentic AI is about fundamentally transforming how businesses scale, not just cutting basic costs.
Wow.
And that leaves us with something really important to mull over. As these multimodal agents get better at reading our emotions, and as they securely execute our most complex tasks, at what point do we stop thinking of them as software?
Right.
When do we start managing them as digital employees? I mean, what does your company's org chart even look like when half the staff is autonomous?
That is a fascinating and maybe slightly terrifying thought to end on. The workplace is definitely never going to be the same. For more AI insights, visit etherlink.ai.